You've always got this belief that Wilder has this equaliser power and he's going to be able to detonate that right hand, but he just doesn't do it, and he hasn't done it for so long now.
And now that punch has gone, along with the punch resistance, I think it's definitely time for Deontay Wilder to retire. Now is the time to call curtains on your career. Daniel Dubois has got a bright future.
Definitely his best win. And, of course, Anthony Joshua's there, sitting ringside. That's going to happen at Wembley Stadium.
I think that would be a great fight. It's got a nice ring to it. It reminds me of a super middleweight fight that happened about 10 years ago. We've not mentioned that Eddie Hearn got absolutely whitewashed by a Bricktop.
Does it show that, you know, Frank Warren knows a little bit more about boxing than Eddie Hearn?
Welcome to The Verdicts with me, Carl the Cobra Froch, and my old mate, the Saint, George Groves. How are you, George?
I'm really good, Carl. Really, really good. I was up late last night watching the boxing, but I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, it was a late one. Yeah, I'm good. I'm a little bit tired myself. I was up to about 4 or 5 in the morning time I got my head down, because I get a little bit buzzy when I've watched a decent card and some good fights, a couple of knockouts. I always end up feeling the adrenaline and I struggle to sleep. I don't know about yourself, but there's plenty of action to get stuck into anyway. It was a Queensbury whitewash. Old Bricktop gave Eddie Hearn an absolute pasting with a 5-0 on the, 10-0 on the points, but all 5 of his fighters beat all 5 of Eddie's fighters, which I don't think many people saw that coming. But the main event was Zhilei Zhang against Deontay Wilder, and Wilder getting absolutely chinned. It was a bit of a strange affair, Wilder getting knocked out. He kind of got caught with a shot, and then he had a look round at the referee as if to say, who knocked the fluff off my cappuccino? And then while he was thinking about what went wrong, Zhang put a right hand into him and absolutely stretchered him. What did you make of that main event, mate?
Yeah, so I think, the verdict on Zhang versus Wilder was kind of now to be expected. So you've always got this belief that Wilder has this equaliser power and he's going to be able to detonate that right hand, but he just doesn't do it, and he hasn't done it for so long now. The last time he's used that to get out of jail really was against Luis Ortiz, and we're talking about 5 years ago when that's happened. He's only had really 5 fights in 5 years, and that includes the second and third fight against Tyson Fury, which he lost, and then obviously he won one, and then he's lost again to Parker recently. So he wasn't in fantastic form. He does struggle, the jab's just non-existent from Wilder. He doesn't just pause at it, he never throws it properly, doesn't throw it with authority. And then after a couple of rounds of feeling out, touching each other up, he looked like Zhang at some point is going to catch him and get rid of him. And he does, he catches him and he turns away. He turns, as you say, I thought he turned to the referee, asking him, some secret tips or tricks or something. Why did he hit me?
How dare he hit me?
And then Zhang just goes in for it's a free shot. He's got open target, free shot, and that's it. And Wilder's out. But that's a shame. I think that's the end of Wilder, to be honest. And I like his intensity, Wilder. I like the ring walk still. I think he looks cool. I like the outfit, but I not a huge fan of the boxing anymore, because he just looks like Bambi on ice and doesn't really throw great shots. And when he gets caught now with these big guys, they go over. But it was a 5-stone weight advantage for Zhilei Zhang last
big
night.
Advantage.
Can you believe that, Carl?
Like you've just said, I think Deontay Wilder's well past his best. He looks unshaken on his legs from the start. He paused with that jab, and he looks like he's lining up the right hand. And I think he's still... Does he think he can still knock people out of one punch with that right hand? I don't know if he does. He lacks belief, but he does throw the punch. He sends it in, but I don't know. You can't say just because he's weighing just over 15 stone he's not got the power, because he was punching hard at round about that weight previously when he was knocking people out of one punch. But that was his main attribute. Everyone talked about he's got no skill. He's not gifted in technical ability. He's just a one-trick pony with that punch. And now that punch has gone, along with the punch resistance, I think it's definitely time for Deontay Wilder to retire. And I don't think there could be an argument to say, listen, he had a bad day, because Joseph Parker beat him in a bit of a stinker, and now he's just been wiped out by Zhang. He's lost 4 of his last 5 fights. So now is the time to call curtains on your career. It was knocked out quite bad last night. I was surprised he got up, because at one stage when he went down, he looked like his legs were just spread eagled, his arms were dropped, and I just thought, his whole body's relaxed now. He's actually snoring. He's gone, but he did get up and make it to his feet. But he was in trouble and it looked dangerous. So I think personally Deontay Wilder needs to retire. Zhilei Zhang, potentially he's talking about the roads to our championship belts. Potentially he's got a bit of a future in the heavyweight division, but early 40s. It's quite a big lump. He's quite slow and cumbersome, but he can punch. Big bang, Zhang. But what future does he have? I think it's a really tricky one for him. Who would you put him in with next? I mean, I'd like to see him in with Anthony Joshua. I think AJ beats him, but you never know. If he catches AJ, it could be a good fight, but it's tricky for him. He obviously beat Joe Joyce, but where do you think he goes now, George?
Yeah, he's kind of in the who needs him club. He'll want to keep busy, but I'd imagine he'll want a shot at the winner of the rematch of Usyk Fury, and that's kind of where it's at. You know, other than that, we're talking about Anthony Joshua, but, you know, we've got now, it looks like Joshua's going to be fighting Daniel Dubois, and we'll get on to Dubois soon after his magnificent win, and I thought it was a magnificent win at the weekend as well. So, yeah, for Zhang, I'm not sure where he goes, Carl.
He probably just wants to have a money fight, doesn't he? Probably wants to earn some money because it'd be nice for Zhang to get a little bit of a payday. He's obviously getting paid out there in Saudi. He's had a couple of fights, but he's not had the big fight. He's not had the World Championship title fight. So how does he get paid? Who's he going to fight to get the money? It's got to be a title fight, and it's got to be a Dubois or an AJ or someone of that manner. But like you said, he's in the who needs him club. Can you see any of them taking him? I can't really see him taking him.
No, I don't think so. So I think it's who needs him. You know, Parker's beat him, so Parker's put himself above Zhang. Then you look going down the list, aren't you? The rest of the top 10 heavies, but whether they just keep him busy, and then maybe he gets a chance to fight for a belt some point down the line. But speaking of belts, the next fight with big implications, obviously on the hunt for world titles, was Daniel Dubois. He flipped the script, beating Filip Hrgovic for the interim IBF heavyweight title. So, firstly, Cole, did you expect that result? Did you see that one come in? And, how do you rate that win in terms of Daniel Dubois' career so far?
So, yeah, Daniel Dubois, that win against Hrgovic, I was quite impressed, and it probably is his biggest win. Although Hrgovic is an unknown quantity just because of the limited names on his record, I just feel that the way Daniel Dubois went in there under pressure, not knowing kind of what was going to happen after he lost to Alexander Usyk, with those question marks around his heart, and he went in there against a big, strong game Hrgovic. Let's be honest, Hrgovic didn't look great, did he? He tired after about 2 or 3 rounds. They went hell for leather in the first 2 or 3 rounds. And it was an entertaining watch. Both of them got in there. Hrgovic, low left, looking for the right hand. Dubois was throwing left, right. When he got in close, he was hooking away. But that win for Dubois was a decent win. It kind of shows Hrgovic's level and where he is. I don't think Hrgovic really has much of a future. The first time he really steps up, he's been beat. But Daniel Dubois, young, what is he, mid-20s? Big, strong, can punch a bit, he's fit, he's now game, he's starting to believe in himself. He's got the IBF interim title, which may or may not be upgraded to the actual real IBF title belt, if you like. When it does, I think that will give him a bit more confidence. He'll be a bona fide world champion. And I think that Daniel Dubois has got a bright future.
Yeah, I can see him, having a real bright future. I think he's overcome his adversities, and at 26 years of age, he's been involved in some big fights already. He's relatively young for a heavyweight in that instance, and that Hrgovic definitely his best win. Hrgovic, some people would put him right up there behind the top 2 guys because he'd had a couple of sticky fights. His fight with Zhang, people thought could have gone either way, but ultimately, he started sharp. He's really fast 1-2, sharp 1-2, and Dubois was taking them shots. And you're thinking, is this going to have an effect down the stretch? These shots that he seems to be eating, going to catch up on him. But to his credit, he marched on through. And then once he found his rhythm, about 3-4 rounds in, where he was just sort of slipping and sliding, authoritative with the jab, just busted up Hrgovic's face. He was almost robbed. I thought Hrgovic was on the verge of quitting, or at least getting stopped. So Dubois was kind of robbed of that conclusive win by the the facial damage of Hrgovic. They pulled him out, lived to fight another day. But that's a sensational win for Daniel Dubois. And, of course, Anthony Joshua's there, sitting ringside. And it looks like now he's set to fight Dubois. That's going to happen at Wembley Stadium. That's probably going to happen for the full IBF title because it'll be Anthony Joshua. And by then, governing bodies would have had pressure on them. Someone would have been stripped. That belt would have been elevated. But Dubois will be ring walking as the champion. He'll be ring walking second at Wembley Stadium. It's a massive, massive fight. How do you see them two faring against each other, Carl?
I think it's an interesting fight. I really do. I mean, like you said, it could have the IBF belt on the line. How big would that fight be for British boxing? I mean, reportedly, the fight is planned for Wembley in September. So, I mean, we know a thing or two, don't we, about Wembley Stadium. But does that fight warrant that? It probably does. I think if you stick Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium, because it's AJ, let's be honest, AJ's the big draw. Dubois coming through now and he's making some noise. And if the IBF world title's on the line, two big British heavyweights, the young up-and-coming geezer, Daniel Dubois, against the older, more experienced veteran in Anthony Joshua, it's got a nice ring to it. It reminds me of a super middleweight fight that happened about 10 years ago. I mean, the British public get behind it, and I think that would be a great fight, especially if it's for the IBF world title. Right, so let's have a word on the rest of the card, starting with Dmitry Bivol. He successfully defended his WBA light heavyweight title belt against Malik Zinad. That was his first stoppage victory, actually, since 2018. How impressed were you by his performance? What is your verdict on that fight, Mr. Groves?
Well, he was good. He was very good, Bivol, and I was pleased to see him finally stop someone in so long. You're thinking, come on, like let's. I know, especially when you've got like 6 championship fights to get through on the card. It was nice that he sort of started the flow of stoppages. I think maybe there was one before him. Zinad, actually, I've never seen him up close and personal, but I know he's trained in London. And he was out of the McGuigan's gym for a little bit. Shane McGuigan was training him, and the guys down there really rated him. They said that he could punch hard, he was loose and fast, and when he got set up for this Bivol fight, it feels like it's come out of nowhere. Obviously, his name got plucked out the hat when Beterbiev had to pull out injured, and the guys in the McGuigan gym were like, they don't back him, but he has a chance. And he shaped up and he looked okay, and he was loose and effective with his right hand. He put a little bit of sting and pop on it. He fights with a low left hand. He's at times a man after my own heart, Cole. Maybe even after yours. But he ultimately sort of woke the beast with Bivol, it felt like. He put one on his chops, and as soon as that happened, Bivol just responded, came back. And when he puts his shots together, that Eastern European sort of technical style where they punch so correct and so loose and hard, once they start landing, there's sort of accumulation of punches gets rid of the guys in front of him. And he showed he put the last combination together frighteningly well, and there was no questions from Zinad's corner about the stoppage. He had a bit of nose damage, he had a bit of face damage up until that point as well, and I think the fight was starting to leave him. So, really great performance from Bivol. I mean, I thought it was great. Obviously, the fight we all want to see, Cole, is Arthur Beterbiev, right? Beterbiev's at home. He's nursing his meniscus knee tear, which I know you know a little bit about. What do you think he'll make of the manner of Bivol's victory? Is he scared of it?
You did a bit of research on the Cobra, didn't you, before you fought me, if you know about the knee tear? I had a bit of a meniscus. I actually had my ACL reconstructed. I think the meniscus will be a routine keyhole surgery if he needs it, just tidying up a little bit of a tear in the cartilage in the knee, that'll be. But when that's sorted, I think he'll be fine. He's getting old, isn't he? But he lives clean, he keeps himself fit and strong, he's got a good diet, he's a solid 40-year-old, would you say, Beterbiev. But it's a great fight. You've got the Eastern Europeans, clinical style, accuracy, speed, work rate from Bivol. He's difficult to hit and he's very accurate with his punches. So he'll definitely catch Beterbiev, because Beterbiev gets caught with shots, but he's just tough. He's a bit of an animal, isn't he? punches really hard. So I think that's a great fight. I could see it being a distance fight, and if it does go the distance, I've got to back Bivol because of the work rate. But this fight could end early because Beterbiev, when he's under pressure and he's losing, he's behind on points, he seems to close the distance and get in close with them shots, and he's clumping the hooks and even that backhand down the middle. It just doesn't look that fast, but it's accurate and it's heavy and it causes damage. But it'd be fascinating to see Bivol under pressure getting knocked about and beat up because we've never seen it. So it's just a great fight, one I'm really looking forward to. And if I had to pick a winner, I'd say Bivol on a tight points decision.
Yeah, it's one of them ones. Every time I watch one of them fight, I change my mind and think that guy's going to win. So, you know, when Bivol boxed, I go, oh, Bivol can't get beat. And then I watch Beterbiev and I'm like, nah, no way Beterbiev gets beat. I'm just going to say Beterbiev right now just to contradict you, mate. And I think the lava, he's like lava. He's like a volcano explodes and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And I just don't see Bivol as smart and clever and tight and lovely straight shots. I just think the lava's going to get him. So I'm going to go Beterbiev. But we're going to see that in Riyadh, apparently, October 12th. I think that's the scheduled date. So we look forward to that. That is a tremendous fight. Should we just round up the rest of this 5v5 card? So first out the blocks was Willie Hutchinson, and he was against Craig Richards. Matchroom's Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson's Queensbury. And Richards was a favourite going into this fight, I think, or most people's backing, and didn't really show up. Like, it's not the Craig Richards we've seen. Quite slow, very easy to hit. And
do you think the occasion got to him?
I don't think so. I just think he just wasn't at the races. But it could well been. I mean, he's been in there with Bivol. You know, he's been away from home and give Bivol a run for his money. He's been in there with the big domestic clash against Buatsi and gave a really good account of himself. It felt like a
must-win though, didn't it? You know, when you're under that must-win pressure, it's like, I don't know, sometimes you kind of underperform, you get in there a bit cagey, but Hutchinson was good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Hutchinson's just all wrong for him. You know, Hutchinson, obviously aloof, you know, he's sharpshooter, was switch hitting, and just was very accurate. You know, at times it was hard to miss Richards, and Hutchinson, to his credit, I thought, you know, went through the gears and even finished strong when he didn't necessarily need to. So credit to him. Next up was Nick Ball against Raymond Ford. Split decision, Carl. Which way did you see that?
I thought it was close, but I was rooting for Nick Ball. I thought he did enough to win in his last fight. He ended up with a draw. I felt a bit bad for him. I mean, maybe the judges felt the same because it was so close. He got the draw. This one was close. I think Nick Ball, Raymond Ford was a close fight. So like I say, split decision. But because I was rooting for Nick Ball, because I like his style, I like the fact that he comes forward, he throws a lot of shots, he's got mean intentions and he's got a good work ethic. So I think when you're rooting for somebody, you want somebody to win, you see the fight going in their favour. That's why you've got to be so impartial when you're judging, because if you've got a favourite, you kind of see something that goes in the favour of the guy you're backing. But I thought Nick Ball did enough to win. But you can make a case, you know, Raymond Ford, he put the work. He was a sharpshooter on his combination punches, and he was putting them together. It made for a great fight, but I've got no complaints with a split decision win for Nick Ball, and I think onwards and upwards for him.
Yeah, no, it is that bittersweetness, and it is nice for a fighter to achieve their goals and dreams, and he definitely thought that he should have been a world champion after his last outing. Feel as well for Raymond Ford, though, because, you know, he won his belt at the last ditch attempt, you know, in his fight previous. So he'll be bitterly disappointed. I thought personally he had the more eye-catching work, the better quality of work, and I thought he nicked it by a couple of rounds. But that's boxing. It's very, very subjective. Next up, Cole, Hamza Shiraz against Austin Ammo Williams.
I like Shiraz.
You like Shiraz, don't you?
Yeah, I just think he's tall, rangy, punches a little bit. I think he's probably one of the best prospects now coming out of Britain. What is he, British and Commonwealth champion? He's just big and rangy and can punch a little bit, and I just like his style. And like I say, I just think he's a really, really good prospect. I'm looking forward to see how his career develops and opens up. And what was that? Was that an 11th round? It was one 11th round TKO against Austin Williams. Austin Williams tried, he came and had a go, didn't he? I mean, took it to the 11th round. Did you have any problems with that fight?
Williams weren't bad from the start, and it was who's going to sort of get into the groove first. And he was obviously much safer at that short range. When he was short range, he was landing good shots, but he had to hold in between punching to sort of maintain that security, if you will.
Wasn't it?
And it was hard. Shiraz, you're just wondering, is he going to be able to snap into his groove? But I think he must be able to punch so hard. He has that punch power that swings fights in his favour, and he landed on Williams, and that was it. From there on in, it was sort of his fight. He had to find the measure. I can't believe that it even went as far as the 11th. Really, I thought it wouldn't surprise me if he'd got rid of him a bit early. But onwards and upwards for Shiraz, and it looks like now maybe he might be on that Wembley card against none other than your old sparring partner, Carl, Chris Eubank Jr. How do you think that goes?
I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. is busy enough. I don't think he's serious about boxing. He keeps himself fit. He's kind of naturally athletic, so he's naturally quite fit and strong. But I don't know if he takes boxing seriously enough. I mean, if he can get a fight with someone like Jake Paul, or if he can get a gimmick fight, I think he'd much prefer to do that. He'll be looking for a lot of money, won't he? And he might end up pricing himself out of it. But that'll be a good fight if Eubank Jr. comes out. He's not been active, has he? He's done nothing for a while. I just worry for fighters that are inactive. But certainly a good one. I mean, the name's there, isn't it? Chris Eubank Jr. You give him a bit of a beating, didn't you? Bashed him up with one arm. But I think he's not a super middleweight, is he? He's a light heavyweight. Give me some good sparring coming in the gym, but up at super middle with them small gloves. It's big boys, isn't it? Big boys game. But yeah, let's wrap it up. Get your final thoughts on the format. I mean, we've not mentioned that Eddie Hearn got absolutely whitewashed by Bricktop. Frank Warren 10-0 on points. So 5 fights, 5 wins, 5-0. And I think with the point system, he ended up being 10-0. Is that going to be anything to the pride? Do you think Eddie Hearn's bothered about that? Do you think Frank Warren's going to take a lot of pride in that, or any pleasure from that? Or do you think it's all about the Bunsen burner? They're making money. It's not cost them any money, has it, losing? Did anybody care about whether or not Queensbury beat Matchroom or Bricktop beat Eddie Hearn?
If this is supposed to be like the rivalry of all time, like the biggest rivalry in boxing right now, and then we have the first one and it's 10-0, it's like, I thought this might go a little bit more to the wire. It might be a little bit closer than what it is. Is it? Does it show that, Frank Warren knows a little bit more about boxing than Eddie Hearn? I suppose.
He's been around a lot longer, hasn't he?
He's been around a lot wrong. Is he looking after his fighters better? Does he care about them more? I don't know. Maybe it means nothing. Apparently, there was $3 million up for grabs for the winner of the tournament. And I don't know if that is accredited to the promoter or whether the promoter will then, cipher that down through and sort of little cheeky bonus for.
No, I think he's made that quite clear that that's the promoter's money. Frank Warren yesterday, I've read a couple of bits. So allegedly that money is for him and not the fighters. That's what I've heard.
That's not bad for Frank. Well, Frank will be pleased, won't he?
It's a good win. It's a good win.
That's a great win. Maybe me and you should do a Cobra Vite Saint with a $3 million bonus. You reckon we can sign up a couple of kids, take them to Riyadh?
Could you cope with another whitewash? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, George. I was off to get a little dig in there. There's no need for it, is there? No need for it. But yeah, if they look to do that, they might go 5v5 again, that concept. Whether or not you care whether Frank wins or Eddie wins, the concept itself, where they've got 5 of their, I don't think they're their best fighters, or the fighters that they pick, because let's be honest, Eddie Hearn and Deontay Wilder didn't really have much nice to say about each other right up until this point. When the money's on the line, and then they can do business together, because obviously if it makes money, it makes sense. But I don't think the promoters versus each other is a big thing. I don't think anyone's really making much of a deal of that. I don't think Eddie Hearn feels like a loser, unless there is £3 million that's gone wanting. But I think the concept's good because it means that Eddie will get 5 good fighters, Frank Warren will get 5 good fighters, and then we the boxing fan get to see 5 good competitive fights. So that's it for another episode of The Verdict. Thank you very much for joining me again, George. Whilst I've got you, don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe to this channel. We'll see you next time.